Welcome back to another spine-rattling episode of the Underground Nation podcast, where the underground breathes and the unheard get amplified.
Hosted by none other than your host with the ghost, the apocalyptic voice of the streets, Bounce Ball Boogie.
Tonight, we're diving into the shadows with a guest who doesn't just make music, he builds worlds. He's the masked maestro of horrorcore, the lyrical phantom with a taste for the theatrical. Ladies and gentlemen, goblins and ghouls, this is Lyrizone. Now turn your lights low, turn your volume up, and let's enter the zone.
Welcome to the Underground Nation podcast, where the lights flicker, the truth whispers, and only the brave speak. I am your host with the ghost, Bounce Ball Boogie, and tonight we summon one of the most theatrical, terrifying, and thought-provoking forces in the underground. A masked magician of metal and mayhem, a lyricist from the shadows. This ain't just a conversation, it's an exorcism of expression. So grab your headphones, dim the lights, and step into the zone. This is Lyrizone. What's up, Lyrizone? How are you?
What's good, fam?
Man, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me tonight, and in your mind and your creative chaos that you've been putting out. Thank you for letting the dust settle for a moment to speak with us.
Pleasure's all mine, sir.
Perfect. Well, again, I appreciate you being here. I know everything has been chaotic with you putting out new content, new music, but before we start diving into what's up and coming, what you got going on now, if you don't mind, I just want to take our listeners all the way back.
Oh, let's do it.
I'm saying let's bring it all the way back. Before the mask, the merch, and the mayhem, who was the man, Joseph Moreno, before he became
damn. No, I love that shit. So I was a retail clerk, meat cutter, currently still am one.
Yeah, meat cutter? Wait, like a butcher?
Yes, sir. Like 9 to 5. That's where like.
Wait a minute. Are you putting out Are you putting out your butching activities?
There's a reason why. There's a reason why I did so well in horrorcore, bro. I had lit the shit.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm interested. Is there any way we can see this in a subscription somewhere? You're just back there
if we put it on Patreon, we'll do it on Patreon eventually someday. Like if I bring my knives home, we'll do it.
That is a talent that is slept on.
Oh, dude, it's one of those talents now, especially for like starting from processing. Shout out to El Fortune, and we were talking last time about it, like for what he used to do as far as like actually breaking stuff down as far as that. Like he used to do like breaking down cattle in South Carolina, and then I started from essentially small mom pop stores, pretty much a slaughterhouse you want to call it, but it wasn't that. It was kind of just like a processing. To then go on retail and just like processing stuff down further for merchandising. So yeah.
What? That's wild.
Oh yeah. This reason I actually had a YouTube video for Sweet Relief, what the Parasite song was on, and I actually did a skit of bringing my knives from work to the studio and was using kind of like my steel to kind of go against the microphone, get a nice little like actually like gritty sound. Use what I had on hand to make it more theatric, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about the theatrics.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's great ideas. I mean, you just using what you got.
Always, man.
That's amazing. I definitely want to see more of that personally. I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, from going into being a butcher and doing, what was there a moment or memory that kind of lit that fire? Like boom,
got me into it. Believe it or not, it's definitely high school related as far as like music appreciation, music theory, and stuff of that nature. If you ask me now, like the scales, I'm like, I don't know that stuff. I haven't followed up with it. I'm just a hip hop between the rock and hip hop side. Like I am not gonna go into that conversation. I'll just make the music and not do all this crazy shit with it. But essentially, I actually began learning music itself. Just essentially like being with a bunch of homies. We had music appreciation. They had us like learn these chords and like all this different stuff. It's like, I'm not interested in that. I literally just want to go into sound isolation booth because they actually had booths. I don't know if they still do into this day, but the bands have their own isolated booths where they get to actually practice, hear their tones. And me and the homies literally just went in there and freestyled in between like haikus, blank verses, whatever we had written down. It was like our own personal homework to each other to have the best like 8 bars. And we didn't even actually go on 16 bars. We just did 8 bars because the shorter the better. And we watched a lot of Smack TV and King of Dot, and we tried to like do good punchline bars. And before I knew it, it became blank verses, haikus, to actually just doing like free verses to writing songs. And the best thing with it is with music appreciation, we actually had journalism and creative writing, which literally just kept me lined up for the right steps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That kind of rolls into, I wanted to learn a little more about your environment. Like, what was the environment you grew up in? Did it nurture your creativity, or did you
Yes.
fight for your voice?
Believe it or not, there was a lot of learning curves. There
Sure.
was a essentially for during that time. Are you familiar with grind mode cipher? Essentially, like grind mode for like hip hop artists, and they have like
Yeah, yeah,
ciphers.
yeah.
That was my first start. They brought me on, and I actually did a cipher back in Hilton Head. And you can actually just type in Lyrizone grind mode cipher, and you'll see me like pale baby face more than I am now. Got a big old like red Jordan shirt on, kind of like nervous as hell because he's not know what he's doing as far as hip hop, doesn't know what to do with his hands, he's not stage
Nice.
perform trained. But essentially, I just found my crowd, found a hip hop artist that I like to actually work with, found people who are on the same level or higher. And I usually try to stick with those who are actually better than me, specifically so I can actually tone my skill set and never like if you're essentially hired me, I want to actually work with you because I want to figure out a way to get myself better. I never try to be stuck in I'll never be good enough because once you automatically label yourself of like I'm not doing shit, you will not do it. But yeah, as far as music, I sort of like was a little sheltered into myself a little bit during high school. Didn't really associate a lot with music. I just wanted to work on what I liked, and if I found those who were kind of creatively like me, we were like side by side. But to answer your question, I was usually typically by myself. Inspiration, when
Sure.
Dad was live, we actually had, he was really, really into more like hard rock. And when I say hard rock, when you say like classic rock, because then when everybody says now like Alice in Chains is classic rock, like we're talking about like Skid Row, Black Sabbath. He would have more of White Snake, all these different stuff. And I just sit there in the shed, just listen to these different bands. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't put rock with rap just yet because I haven't hit that part. I was still a hip hop artist by heart, but slowly but surely, I became more enamored with the hip hop structure. And then as we came going throughout time, I became more fine detailed on the rhythm, the cadence, different rhyme structures and patterns, just being fluent in that side of hip hop and then merging over.
Wow, that's incredible. How just kind of just one thing led to another. Like
Oh,
wham,
dude,
wham,
domino
wham.
effect. Huge domino effect.
But when did the name Lyrizone find you, or did you find it?
Sophomore year, it was actually one of our second little battles we had. We're going side by side. I literally just thought like, okay, the lyric, what's a catchy name? And thinking, okay, everybody was doing like little this, little like Little Wayne. Then we had all these different like. So I was like, okay, I don't want to do that because
Yeah, little lyric.
like little lyric, but a little lyric. But essentially, that would be a good
Muy
bar.
poquito.
But I eventually started thinking, okay, what would be easier to write with? And I started thinking kind of like longevity of how I want to create this character and where I want to go with it. Because I already knew with creative writing, I want to do like different timepieces or how I want to go with it. And I was like, okay, what's quick and easy? Lyric and then zone. Put it together. I'm like, okay, that's easy to read, legible. Then I got my actual like logo done in sophomore year. And believe it or not, I'm still rocking with that logo.
No kidding.
I've had 5 different like variations of it throughout the years. I did a metal one, a death metal one. I did more of a progressive rock one. We've done a lot of logos, and I was like, no, that one just speaks to me. And every single time, it's just good branding. So yeah.
Incredible. Has the meaning behind Lyrizone
Oh,
evolved
definitely.
since that time?
Oh, definitely. If we haven't spoken to how the lyrics or the name itself has become more encompassed, to where literally I am creating pieces of music based off the lyrics, and I have to figure out when I am done with the song how to put time signatures inside the music to match the lyrics. Because the lyrics, it is the zone, but also there's a lot of cool stuff. Like even now, I'm working on essentially a medieval Renaissance time, Dark Ages theme song. And
Oh damn.
essentially, right now, the song is done as far as writing. We're just did the pre production on it. And now I have to go through and spend about a week and a half to 2 weeks just deep diving into medieval culture and figuring out what instruments were going on there, what was
Yeah.
happening.
Very cool. I
So,
love that.
yeah.
Research is one of the coolest things I enjoy about podcasting, and kind of digging deep on the background of artists and trying to find those questions that other podcasts won't ask. It's kind of my
Right.
goal. But
Exactly.
if you don't love researching as an artist and learning and studying your skill and learning how to theme your music, and it's really the packaging, I guess you could say. The music is one thing, but now you're talking about the theme and
Oh, yeah. There's always a rhyme to a reason for my stuff, always, which makes it kind
The
of
packaging has to be there.
it has to be. Usually essentially a nightmare trying to figure out how to get all this into one song. Like the Requiem song for Cleopatra, that was a nightmare because there was so much ancient Egypt thematic material I had to get in there without being disrespectful. It was crazy.
Without the keyword there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, you're definitely like to walk the line. That's good.
I try.
Risk taker.
Always, dude.
He's
Always.
really fighting battles out here. Like he's just throwing himself in there. Like what? Test me.
Do what you gotta do, man. I mean,
I'll put you in the zone, bitch.
I'll take it any single day. Like at the end of the day, when I was kind of like at the end of the day, I rather live this life knowing I give 110% of what I can physically do with the time I have, instead of regretting like 40 years later, man, I kind of fucked up not doing that. Because we only have so much time on this planet. So I want to make sure that when I'm done, like whatever I pass this off as a baton, someone can kill this later on. So just do what I can.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yes, sir.
So you were kind of mentioning it. You were mentioning a few names earlier, but I want to kind of touch on that a little more, on your early influences, like the ones that made you rewind that track and say, I want to build worlds like this.
Right. So as far as well, we got so many different inspirations. That's the thing, though, is that I am never shy of saying who I'm inspired by. Like we go from Alice Cooper as far as like the really dark shit. Then we can go like the Prince of Darkness, more Alice Cooper, like great show. So we have like even Dream Theater as far as like how long the songs could be, but also find a way to still keep you hooked. So we can go to kind of like more like Vincent Price, and we can go from so many different aspirations and places I've reached from. So if I have to be completely honest, I couldn't even give you a set of 5, because especially for like what I do, if we even go through kind of like the show Quantum Leap, where people are going back in time all and over time, there's so much inspiration where I pull. But it's going to that point where I don't never feel bad of like, oh, you got that from him? Yeah, of course. Because at the end of the day, we're all products of a environment of something we were really inspired by. And we're like, that's really cool shit. I want to respect that, but also make it my own. At the end of the day, that's all we're ever doing, is find a way to give homage to those who gave us the best creativity while still being ourselves. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's very well said. Hell yeah. If I had that little button thing, I'd press it right now. There you go. We don't need no damn button. We make our own effects.
Hell yeah, man. We got 2 guys here. We got this.
There we go. 2 dudes, no buttons.
No buttons.
You made, I was actually thinking before you were jumping on to the interview, I was like, is he going to wear a mask tonight? Or is he not going to wear a mask tonight?
Bro, if you let me know which mask you fucking want, and we'll crack them out right now like beer. Like we got the glow in the dark one that was just done. I have like 2 or 3 over there, bro. I think I'm like sitting on like 7. I got one for every day of the week. So next time we do a podcast, I'll bring a different one on for you, and we'll just make it a breaking out a new mask.
You see that? We already got it written in stone right there. He's going to come back in the future.
Oh yeah,
dude. I didn't know you just had 7 different masks just ready to grab within arm distance to go with the outfit for the day.
I keep that thing on me, dude. Like at all times. Like I don't think no one really understands. There's so many.
You made masks your trademark.
Yes, sir.
What was the deeper meaning behind that choice?
Believe it or not, it was the depth. If we get more philosophical with it,
please.
As far as the actual mask itself, I always rely on kind of like personal development, and how people rely on the mask of being kind of like translucent and not really seen behind the face. Like when some folks say the beauty is within the eyes and behind the eyes is the beholder. I always look at the mask of kind of like that's what you say at face value, but my goal is to wear the personality on the mask, where folks are like literally worried about what's behind the mask, the monster, if you would, but don't realize what they see at face value is the truest form of the person. And that person putting the mask on top of themselves to literally represent it, they are essentially wearing their own face. So the longest time I've thought the mask was symbolic of, okay, well, we have this horrorcore nature as far as like the slash and gash. How do you want to play about? But I start realizing nothing's more scarier than a self-actualized villain. Not one that's afraid of behind the curtain. It's the one that's like essentially the Heath Ledgers, if you would, that would embody the emotional depth and fortitude of the character, and also understanding, hey, this is what the fuck I am. So this is instead of a mask that figuratively people are afraid of and think of, oh man, he's hiding something. No, these masks are essentially, hey, I'm gonna show you the purest form of myself. Like essentially Lyrizone, even though he is the time traveling figure, I am enamored with history. I am the person that will put my inside my songs, I will put there will be betrayal because I've had friends that fucking stabbed me over. I've had relationships that didn't work, they chose the other side. There's just so much on here, even though the mask gives the appearance of it's not the actual person, it's the truest form of myself. It's a second face, if you would, for me. So that's my answer as far as that one. It's just my second face. So yeah.
Just my second face.
Yeah. Or fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh.
Just since we're kind of talking about it, with the Renaissance theme, is the mask considered a weapon or a shield?
Yo, hold up. Before we dive deeper into the mind behind the mask, let's take a moment to step into the sound. This next track, it ain't just music, it's a massacre in melody. 23 blades, 23 betrayals, 23 reasons to never trust the silence. Straight from the haunted halls of the underground. This is Lyrizone, and this is 23 Knives. Let it bleed.
Here's an old folks' tale from way back then that I doubt the new world will tell ya. There were these two kids from the Roman age, one smart and rebellious, the other let his life for the wind, traveled through time just to find signs on the sand, both trained in the day, but hey, they were friends, but it didn't really matter cause they both for the win. One schemed, one tracked it, one's royal, one acted, and when you put them together out of sight, then history gets the clashing. It's a shame they only coin one person by a merge of factions. I suppose that's what it takes when you put another ahead of your passion. While he rolls up, the other sits at the side, mentoring and saying what he needs to use. Seldom see from anybody on the outside, cautious as a ruler's never two, only one. But deep down he's brewing a different approach as he hypes up his partner while hiding the notes, looking for cracks in this fool's presentation, careful what is said and what he shows him to do. What makes you king while you're living inside of my world? Hang outside of my eyes, with the base of your rule crumbling down. One day you'll run out of time. As the decade passed, he sees the man that he made a warrior, but deep down there's a beat nerve. Now feel like people much gorier. Seen through the eyes of euphoria, he's sensing a pattern in time. Each step taken, this law is broken to be rewritten by crime. Then find out by chance he gets captured. In fact, they're now raising the ransom. Why fight to protect this idiot? The kingdom is weak and vacant. Meanwhile, there's talk from the Senate there whispering slow of power and malice. From the very first time, just then I realized I can finally be mentioned in the row with these molded hearts and fickle people. I suggest the action taken now will stop and seize it all. If you truly fear his capabilities, then listen closely. The only way to kill a madman's through a guy like me. I feel his intentions and darkness. His love is Achilles and his strength and his profits. The person I trained became the person I hunted. Such a shame how this turned out when gone unhaunted. What makes you king while you're living inside of my world? Hang outside of my eyes, with the base of your rule crumbling down. One day you'll run out of time.
So believe it or not, that's actually a really great question because specifically the way I phrased how I write my stuff for the longest time, I never truly tried to tell the audience, in which I'm also telling people who are watching now, don't take the interpretation of what I'm saying at face value. Look a little further. The way I look at it as far as the mask is that we all have our hiccups in life. We have our like moments and when we're emotionally vulnerable, and moments where we're like very, very angry and full of anguish. And then essentially how I perspect as far as Renaissance time, I made masks to where they're supposed to be uniform every single release. I don't know if this will be kind of like a Slipknot thing to where you have like 5 to 7 years of this one, do a slightly different variation of this one. That might be in the cards. It might not. But as far as the actual like epitome of the mask, my goal is to have every single mask look the same for this character. Because for the EP itself, it's supposed to called CIGALIA. And essentially that is supposed to be the end-all be-all location of this character. And for the longest time, I've been writing, trying to figure out how to get there, and essentially from point A to point B. And then I realized that disconnect, it doesn't really matter. It's complete, like almost like that like Wolf of Wall Street video. Like it's all like Fugazi. It's all bullshit because you never can really actually understand point A to point B. It's all these different separate branches that keep the creativity going. So as far as the mask itself, I've done different ones with the same mask. I've done different ones thematically that are like, okay, this is one of one. Like that white one I was just showing you was a break stuff cover themed mask because I just want to do one. And like who's to know that I will use that for other ones. But as far as the actual Renaissance one, I actually have that one somewhere in the stash. I was actually going to dress up in full Lyrizone cloak gear, but I was like, it's really hot. So that's why I have like a nice cold water. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to wear a big old cloak. It's really hot here. So as far as the answer to that,
But imagine back in the day, there was no options there.
there
Lizzo.
wasn't. Well, these are silicone masks too, so they suck when it gets really hot. Like I always tell people, like I'll wear it for branding for the first 10 minutes and then take it off because I'll be like inhaling just my paint fumes. But yeah, it's one of those things.
Sacrifice is real.
It is, dude. Especially when you put so much value into what you do. Because I'm just gonna sound less selfish as I try to put it, but for me to not give 110% to what I do would be essentially not giving 110% and believing in those who actually believed in me. Because like Tony Buck, who literally got these masks for me and we designed it together, and he's like, okay, well, any mask you want, we'll get something going as far as get your next variation. Most mask makers, they won't just say, hey, so I can only do 3 or 4 of those, and then I'm going to just focus on other things. Like, he is a ride or die, like, person that takes care of me. So, same thing with graphic designers. Like, my goal is to always make sure it's responded and reciprocated correctly of how they believe in me to believe back into them. So, just give them good quality stuff. But I guess to go on a tangent, before I did, to answer for your Renaissance one, as far as the theme, I just go what comes to mind and just do a lot of research. And this kind of where the character gets a little interesting. Before I used to write a lot of material like off of what I researched first. Now essentially I've been writing to beats, build the base production, and then diagnose the character as far as like give a full rundown of like the Renaissance time and stuff like that. So this one was a little bit different of a creative time as far as like how I'm writing. But honestly, it's still been fluent, which that's a good thing creatively too, is that even though there was a little bit of hiccups as far as learning curves, I just leaned into it and then made something better out of it. And that's kind of where I think most of the musicians and artists itself, like that's when they hit their next level, is when things do essentially go wrong and they're like, oh man, this is not going to work. But then they realize, nope, we found a way. And then that's the way it pretty much goes. So
find the way. I could literally see the excitement behind your eyes as you
oh, dude, I
everything.
braved this shit.
It's incredible. Like you are truly an artist. I could literally see it behind your eyes as you talk about it. It just brings
Likewise,
you
sir.
pure freaking joy. And that's amazing. I was gonna ask, you were already kind of answering it, but is there or how do you, with all this research and all these different thoughts and ideas they're just bouncing around in that big old brain of yours, how do you prepare mentally before stepping into character or persona? Is there a ritual, a moment of silence, or
so
snap your fingers, you're there?
So this where it gets kind of tricky for an answer because there is a lot of different ways I actually go about the process. Now, if we're going through like, give me an example. Do you want to go ahead and like go from like recording, or do you want to go actually like researching the topic itself? Which one are you thinking?
I would say recording, because
recording.
The research is what's developing that character.
Okay, so
recording, in my opinion, is you stepping into it.
Exactly. So the recording process is a clusterfuck. Essentially, it goes from figuring out what exactly I want the character to sound like, and like I will give you a prime example right now. So 23 Knives. That song I just came off of essentially doing Air, which is basically a like more Dark Ages themed song. And I was like, the portal that he opened toward the end of the song put him somewhere else. We don't know where. So I started thinking, okay, I've been watching. I watched a lot of Gladiator movies during that week. I'm like, I've seen Gladiators, we've seen Troy. Like, it's all different stuff as far as like how they approach it. But how I will make a song off that? That's kind of cool. Challenge accepted. So what I started doing, thinking, okay, so what would be a good actual like thing itself? So I think of, okay, maybe Julius Caesar, because everyone essentially talks about how Julius Caesar got stabbed in the back, essentially got assassinated, and the plot behind it. And I'm like, that's cool, but what if we found a way to twist the narrative to where it was already predetermined before the meeting, before essentially everyone that we know is public knowledge that was the reason why, essentially causing the what if question of what if we've been told things so many years long that it's all fabricated just to manipulate time and a certain perspective. So the way I kind of wrote it, it's like, okay, so I started getting the vocals ready for the recording sessions, got the song already done. I read the book 8 Laws of Power, and that one essentially I read it in both ways of when I felt like it was in a really, really bad headspace to where like the world's against me, because believe it or not, that actually helped. And also I read it when I felt like I was completely cognitive, know what's going on, completely balanced. And that way I had both sides. And I made sure when I was writing during the process of what I felt. And then I put it to the side, completely forgot about it, put it somewhere in my dresser and forgot about it. And then when the recording time happens, because when I record vocals, I want to be in the moment. I don't want to spend weeks and weeks and weeks doing the verse, because even though it makes me well practiced, like most of my creativity and how I perform is better, more improv. So it's kind of like me, like, holy shit, that's what I wrote. And then I started making bulletin points. And when I came to the studio, usually how I do things is a little bit unorthodox. I'll tell Josh, my producer, say, hey, so let's watch a movie before, like, what's tomorrow looking like as far as before the session? And he'd be like, well, we're not really doing here. We're not really doing that. And I'm like, okay, well, when do you have available? Because I kind of want to just have to do like a movie day. And this is kind of movie I'm thinking of to balance out the character and kind of where I'm thinking, like vocally, before I go in. So we're watching, and as we're kind of like going through watching the film, and there'll be times where I'm like, okay, absorbing it. And then when studio day hits, we'll be talking, and it'd be like kind of like telling me about the character, and I'm literally trying to change my mind mentally of what the song actually represents and defend the song's principle. And that way I sort of get myself in the character, sort of like even telling him like, well, this is why I'm doing this. And then essentially justifying, almost like method acting, if you would. So it gets kind of methodical. And it's just one of those things to where I have found a way when I did recordings. One, I just don't over exaggerate the brain as far as like overcompensate, like how to make sure I know this. I just want to make sure I'm physically there. I protect the vocals, which as far as like just do like more like very, very lukewarm, like honey water. And I just do that as far as that for the vocals. That way it doesn't like shoot the vocals down. Because I've had too many times where I pay for the recording sessions and I have fucked my vocals up by drinking or either drinking really cold water, and it fucks my voice up and makes it very hoarse. And it's really bad when you have a really good take mentally and you know you can do it, but then you just can't perform it. So you have to wait for the next day, and then the performance doesn't come out as good, so you're kind of screwed. So to answer your question, as far as performance and recording, I just do a shit ton vocal practicing, like beforehand, kind of like figuring out the harmonies, and then I just rely on the character and where I'm at. Like even when we started the last 3 songs, I turned all the lights off, which makes it very difficult because then you can bump into the microphone in the booth. But I turn all the lights off because essentially all I want to see is nothing. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see reflections. I want to see blackness, because then I can close my eyes, listen to the song, put myself figuratively and mentally inside that character, and then just perform it how I would see myself, like almost like you're like REM sleeping or like day walking, where you're seeing your dreams, like projecting it. So as far as recording, that's kind of my process. It's been a clusterfuck, because when I always ask folks like, well, I had this one problem about this, and it's like, why are you even doing that? I'm like, because I'm fucking weird. What do you mean? This gets me to point B, so why does it matter? But yeah, as far as like most of my stuff, like I do the weird vocal techniques. Like we've had like Serge where he does like just like throat, like clearing your throat and stuff like that. But most of mine is mostly
can you
just
demonstrate
mental.
one of those?
Yeah, like most of my mental gymnastics is mostly just getting the character during the session. The most it took me is like an hour and a half, because I just couldn't get myself mentally there. And when I watch films, like there's many days where I'm like, okay, I can't figure out how to get to this character. And you know, I'm like,
I was
okay,
just about to ask you, like, do you ever feel like you're putting yourself under pressure to live up to
trying to,
the
yeah,
character or persona at that point?
yes,
Has it
it's one
ever
of those,
happened live? Like you're about to
no.
step out live and they expect a monster, but you're feeling human today?
Believe it or not, I've always told folks, as far as the live scene itself, this is kind of like more of the answer most folks don't expect. I don't like performing lives, at least not yet. The reason why is that for what I've been wanting to do for the longest time, it is so theatrical and so out there that even with the backing band, because I currently have a backing band, Like
Nice.
my producer, essentially, it's just I don't know if you're familiar with Billie Eilish, but essentially she has a brother
Yeah.
Finn that essentially goes back and forth. That is literally me and the producer. Like we do just us two, and that's it. Where I bring the forefront image, the vocals, the storyline, the graphics, anything I need to actually project the character to get him to point B, and he literally just gets with me. We lock in a booth and just lock in. So
Nice.
most of the time, as far as that, that's never really been an issue. But live, I felt like lately, I rather give the right music to the fans, but also perform at a caliber that they would not be disappointed for when they expect of what they see me. And
Yeah.
the issue I've had is that I did the hip hop scene as far as live shows, and I loved it because it was a different caliber and different scene and actual crowd. But the more I'm starting to realize, as far as the rock scene, is I want to give something back. I want to do something different for the rock scene. And for like, who's to say like I'm trying to do something in the lanes of Iron Maiden? Like I'm trying to do something on the lanes of kind of like a more exaggerated Five Finger Death Punch because they have a really cool pyrotechnics or Ghost. Like what I'm trying to do, or even Sleep Token's currently a good example too. Like what I'm trying to do and provide is an experience. And it's also maybe kind of like, I guess you could say, a theater kid. I want to give that over the top, like, holy fucking shit. Because I had the hip hop vocals and performance wise, I did that for numerous years. But as far as this, I would rather give something different. I would rather put on a whole fucking experience to where, especially for like talking about like historical fiction and time periods, I want to actually have a little bit of history on the stage. I want when you leave the show to know some shit you didn't know before, and
Right.
essentially wonder if that's actually fictitious or if it's true. And this kind of goes where it gets kind of fun because I can kind of blur the line a little bit. But
Sure.
yeah,
Can just if you don't have to answer this if you don't want
no,
to, but
go for it.
how have your struggles off the mic helped shape the art we hear today?
Off the mic. So off the mic, essentially, most of the struggles it's been essentially trying to keep myself grounded and knowing that even when I feel overconfident and cocky, that something could always go wrong. Like essentially, if I'm doing bass takes, or if I'm doing marketing off the side, or if I'm just essentially building the backbone for what is my career,
Right.
that when I feel if I'm not doing well enough or I'm not really taking care of the right moments, like for instance mailing lists, stay on top of that, social media, stay on top of that. Like when I feel like when I neglect one thing, it's kind of like building a pyramid. It's where if you're neglecting the base, it's gonna come down
Yeah.
regardless.
You need a
So
good foundation.
of course, and that's why everyone works so hard to take care of those. Like I'm one of those folks that I don't need thousands and thousands of listeners. I just need to have a handful of people who actually give a shit. Because at the end, that's all you really need is a fan base to support you. Because when we all are said and done with this, we're doing this because we love it and we have a passion, but we also hope that someone finds our work inspiring and makes them feel better. And so far, even for what I've done so far, I don't have any regrets as far as like off the mic. But I will say, as far as my own being in my own head is probably one of the major things, specifically because I have a high caliber of where I want to deliver. And sometimes life doesn't give you the right cards. Sometimes you financially just can't afford to get that song out there in that time because you need promo with it. Sometimes you can't get the right people on the track list to feature with it. So you have to put that song off because you're waiting to do a feature. Like there's so much off the mic stuff that specifically it makes it a challenge, but also gives me more of a rush because I know that this shit is not easy. And if it was easy, everybody would fucking be doing it. And when everyone tries to do it, it's not going to work out because once they hit that wall, very few could actually say, all right, let's start climbing. Or most
Absolutely.
folks like just hit it like, oh shit, okay, let me go back. So that's
Have
kind
there
of,
been moments when you hit that wall and where
oh
you
dude,
almost gave
numerous.
up on this path?
Numerous, dude. Like, if we're gonna call a spade, and most artists, like, at least try to say to the cameras and to our like fan bases, like, I'm always transparent as I can be. That's probably why I've done the character so well. Is that as far as the transparency of like having that voice in the back of your head? Yes. Like there'll be days where we'll have crashes like every other week. I'm like, man, that song didn't perform very well. Oh man, this reel is not going very well. Even though time is how you post it and all this extra like back end shit.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
as
yeah.
far as like the inner monologue, yes, but that only comes natural because when you feel like I feel like when folks say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna always succeed." No, bro. Like you're gonna hit that rock bottom, and then how you bounce back from that rock bottom usually dictates if you succeed or not. So, well, I've had times where it was like as recent as last year. Then I've had ones that are 6 months to 8 months ago. But also, I always find a way to fall back into what made me enjoy this more and realize that that feeling is fucking temporary. And so is the loss. The loss is a temporary thing. And unfortunately, so is the wins. So when you understand that concept to where you're never gonna always fucking win, but also you're not always gonna fucking lose. So as long as you embrace the duality of that concept, then it becomes like a matter of, yeah, this was a bad fucking day. So I'll turn all the TVs off and I'll just restart again tomorrow.
That's it.
And yeah, that's the kind of way I perceived it and my perspective on it. So
that's right. Fail yourself. Fail your way to success.
Always, man. That's where I tell people, like, if you want to win, learn how to fail. Because when you learn how to fail, that's when you'll win.
That's what I've been really trying to help artists, entrepreneurs, business owners, especially in the beginning. Like
Right.
a lot of us don't take the time to put together a plan. We just kind of do things one thing after another, and that's when we find ourselves hitting that wall more often than not because there's not a plan in place. So I always say, especially in the beginning, when you're getting serious about this and really putting business behind it, like, yo, we got to put a plan together so you can visually get it out of your brain, especially when you got a
Exactly.
big brain like yours, right? You got to get it out of there, put it on paper, put it on the computer, whatever, visually see it. So now we could now, kind of see the obstacles that are going to be thrown at us kind of ahead of time.
Exactly. And
Woo!
another thing I tell people all the time, because it gets kind of perspective wise, where people start thinking about the numbers game and stuff like that. And they think, oh,
Oh
well, it's only
no.
10, 15 listeners. I'm like, okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I have a very small room recording in. If I had more than 7, I would be claustrophobic.
Yes.
You should be happy that when everybody looks at microscopic numbers, like 100 freaking people usually is in a grocery store.
Yeah.
Bro, like
Yeah.
it's perspective is gets so askew with numbers, and that's why you have to be visually approaching the goal of where do you want to go with it. Are you going for self-actualization? Are you going for essentially like fundamentals of making money? If you're going it just to make money off the rip, you're not gonna get it. Because I can
You're not gonna
promise
get it.
you that 9 times out of 10, most of the actual losses is gonna be money in the very beginning because you're gonna burn money not knowing what the fuck you're doing. And then when you're burning the money, you realize, huh, that wasn't very smart. Recalibrate. And like it's one of those things to where going back to your saying, like find a way to effortlessly fall and like fail, but also bounce back, which hence bounce back, which it goes back to just figuring out a way to make something that theoretically shouldn't work do. And I think most folks get too caught up in the beginning phase of, man, I need to succeed. I need to find a way to make this work. Just build the building blocks of good ethics and good responsibility and good discipline, and then you're set up for success. Because good
That's it.
discipline in the very beginning is where it goes in. Pacing yourself, understanding your value, and just going from there.
That's it. Before you build, create the blueprint.
Of course.
So let's shake things up a bit, Lyrizone.
What you got?
We started getting we got real serious.
That's what I
Let's shake
do.
that. Let's shake that off a bit. Let's shake
All
that
right.
off. Woo!
Woo!
We're gonna play a game. I made a game, and it's called Trick or Treat. I think you're a Halloween lover, like I. Would you
I
agree?
am.
It's called Trick or Treat. All I'm gonna do is ask you random fire questions. You're not gonna think. You're just gonna answer trick or treat.
Okay.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Leaving her mask behind forever.
Mask behind my red one, which I currently have.
No, never wearing a mask ever again. Trick or treat.
No. Hell no.
I guess I'm like, wait, so is trick is a hell no and treat is a hell yeah, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Yeah,
All right.
I would say more treat is a hell yeah. Depends on the actual spectrum of what kind of treat you're getting. We're talking about ding dong ditch, and I don't want any of that treats. We're good.
Having your music ghostwritten for a big fat mainstream check.
Nope.
Getting
Which-
cloned getting cloned for tour money.
Yes.
Your clone is out there performing for you, your music. You're not doing shit.
Yes. And the reason, if you want an elaboration for that one, the reason for is that so no one really knows who the real me is. So it goes back into the character.
And therefore you would never die.
Yeah, I could have different masks on, say, who am I?
That's one thing I've been thinking about. Like with this whole AI thing.
Right.
Like that's probably one of the coolest things that I personally thought of is like if I was to like give my music to give my voice or whatever and eventually have songs created with my voice I mean, essentially, my kid could take over Bounce Ball Boogie and just keep creating music under my.
Exactly.
I was like, I can never die.
Well, it goes back to the same thing too, that where if you want to kind of like break the fourth wall, people are like, "Oh, he's performing with a hologram." Well, this kind of sucks. Then you break the freaking hologram thing in front of you and say, "Surprise, motherfucker!"
Show's over.
Yeah.
Being famous but voiceless in your art.
No.
No.
No, absolutely not. I would rather make not one fucking cent, aka shout the shop of Spotify. I would rather make no money for this and be happy with what I did than have hundreds of thousands of streams and not believe a fucking thing I do.
There we go. No tricks, only treats. Fucking with.
Always.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. All the
right.
tricks.
All the tricks. All the tricks in the dressing room.
All the tricks.
Subscribe to Lyrizone OnlyFans today to see
Only on
what
Patreon
happens.
only.
You want to know what happens backstage?
Well, you get a mixtape. Well, you get penis. We'll find out next episode.
You're as you mentioned earlier, there was kind of an evolution in your style from blending metal, rap. You mentioned horrorcore even. I don't know. It's kind of a crazy,
clusterfuck. Yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
A haunted cocktail, I guess.
Yeah, it's
How do
one
you
of those
decide
things.
what element to bring into a track?
Specifically, it just depends on the actual song itself. Like there is ones that I've had like I want to bring the horrorcore side back, but then I've been so gung ho about separation of it because for the longest time, like I'm still a horrorcore artist at heart. I still love it, but it's one of those things to where I want to sing a little different and contribute differently. Like there is so much different subgenres of hip hop, including horrorcore itself. Like if we go like more acid rap, we talk more different scales, different subgenres. I want to do something different for the new metal side because that's what I grew up with. And I realized that, okay, well, what if we found a way? I know theoretically this should not work. History gets kind of fucking boring. Horrorcore slash and gash, and people would like get kind of burnt out if they don't really understand it. Then we have rock, which rock already has its caveats and its misinterpretations. What if we found a way to blend them all together and do something realistically different? And for the longest time, I was like, man, ain't nobody gonna try to listen to this shit. No one wants to hear about fucking Troy. No one wants to hear about fucking ancient Egypt. This is fucking trash. But the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, no. Like I'm thinking short-term attention span is the only people that are out there, and that's not the truest thing. Like by me essentially giving the disservice of thinking who would be interested into it, it kind of automatically kills the actual impression I could even do it. So for the longest time, I was like, fuck it, let's go ahead and try to blend them together. And slowly but surely, I guess they answer your question as far as like what feels good. It's kind of hard to decipher until like we literally get the post-production done like immediately. I find a beat I write to where it could be a rock-based beat, funk, rap face beat, horrorcore type beat. And I'm like, okay, I'll lay the lyrics down. Josh will do production. I'm like, I like the chorus. Let's do the chorus again. And then we build it up. And I will say we probably rebuild at least every song at least 3 times. Specifically,
shout out to Josh. This man must have the patience of a saint.
Oh, bro, like I have to give him credit where credit is due because if I had someone like me, I'd be like, bro, get the fuck away from me. Like you are literally a walking headache because there is no way you're finding a way to write all this shit, but you're also trying to find a way to make me actually counteract it and go on top of yours and build off it. Because I already know when, like, one of these days, I'll actually bring the book and show you. It's like a lyric book, but it's not. It's literally a concept book of everything I have planned and things I want to do. It's a never ending looking like almost like a Necronomicon of knowledge. It's so weird. But yeah, as far as it's ridiculous. So that's why I take pride into having folks that work with me and actually like believe in it. Because then it makes me actually work a little hard to find a way to make it easy to interpret. So, yeah.
Was Josh the producer behind the Sweet Relief?
Yes. He's believe it or not, that was the first release beat. The other ones were kind of like just more hip hop. I had it on like Reverb Nation, which I know most folks don't even remember that site anymore, but Reverb Nation.
Shout out to Reverb Nation. You're right. I haven't heard that name in a moment.
Oh yeah, it's like almost a Napster days, or how dare we say LimeWire, dropping songs on LimeWire. But as far as like the actual product, like he's been with me since the beginning, and I would say we're getting almost close to over a decade working together. So incredible. Yeah, he's like I say, he's my right hand man when it comes to this. Like as far as like the music, he produces it. We've had producers that come on the actual project. We go like side by side and they co-produce. We go with them as far as a beat. He adds a little more to it. We do splits and stuff like that. But as far as like from start to finish, he knows my stuff and I trust his sound. because we fine-tuned it so well over the years that it just goes hand in hand.
Sure. Does he perform with you?
As far as the actual live show, we haven't done a live show
Yeah.
together, believe it or
Wait.
not. No.
Does he bring his production up on stage and press
That was actually a funny thing we had last night because I had him change the whole bridge to Make You Mine. And he's like, it went from more like Avenged Sevenfold. And I was like, I want a little more technical. So we started using arpeggios and all. He's like, dude, whoever you bring on for a hired gun for guitarists is going to hate this song. There's just so much shit. And I was like, they'll be fine. They're hired.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll find someone to accept that challenge also.
Oh yeah, they'll take him. They'll take it like a sleeve, like an iron with purple heart, if you would, but without the dying.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
All right. We just scratched the surface of the storm inside the mask, but now we step into the pain behind the power. Some tracks cut deeper than a blade. This one? It's a mirror, a scream, a question we've all been too scared to ask. Why can't I break free? Why can't I breathe? Why can't I just be me? This is the raw. This is the real. This is Lyrizone with Why Can't I? Let it echo through your soul.
Hello, my name's Lyrizone. I have myself here a little hobby. Pacing method I chose wisely. Honesty, I'll fall after my liking. Committed is to be then admitted. But a rap that is hard to fit it. But a stab in the back, that's whack when I see those eyes. Especially when I see what is here in disguise. Try not to say I'm a monster. Cause I like a little bitty blood on my altar. Cause I like a little bitty panic in my prey. I'm cold, harmony. What if you would play me? Not that. See, I'm a product of my environment. Always on the edge, like I said, when I'm violence. Look at it again, like it's gonna be anonymous. No matter what they see, cause everybody thinks like this.
Now we go to fantasy, no trial could see this. You talk is horrifying, Lyrizone delete this.
Fuck that, here's the censorship. We show us up in the air. Here's the living dangerous and show the folks that we don't care. Why can't I reveal your world is toxic? Why can't I want everybody to love their flaws tonight? No matter if you're nuts or Halloween, we scream and live as if we can all spin. Why can't I reveal your world is toxic? Why can't I want everybody to love their flaws tonight? No matter if you're nuts or Halloween, we scream and live as if we can all spin. I'm lightheaded again, trying to win, but the phone gets out that I hear my old friend come knocking. I'm not rude, who's there? Hi. Anybody want a piece of this? Cause I'm asleep deep. Wanna get the chopping, I've been cleaving on the knee streets. Got like a clue, can't fuck me on the news. When I serve it and I'm jumping on YouTube. Same old story with some fresh new skin. What else you got? Let's begin. Wanna alienate when there's someone we hate. Show you who's best from 11 to 8. Clutch time in these sharp hours. Doors fall blocked in my dark tower. Today's OT, so they're counting on me to be stepping up the holiday game with new treats. Ooh, I like that one.
I brought up the EP Sweet Relief because I saw you dropped it on Halloween, and that's what inspired the little game I put together real quick.
Oh yeah.
And you just said you were a Halloween head, so I'm assuming that was intentional.
Oh no, I'm literally wearing a Hellraiser themed t-shirt, and I have a neon painted acrylic Nightmare on the Street. I got Freddy's behind me and all this cool shit. So yes, I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday year. Also, October 10th is my birthday, so I'm also enjoying Halloween month. So I usually celebrate it all year long, but October I go hard. October.
Same here. What was the story behind that project?
Believe it or not, Parasite was the first song off the project we worked on, and I was like, this is definitely a slash and gash, and also almost like a suspenseful type project. Like when we working for I was quoting earlier about bringing knives to the studio and doing that was called a skit called Panic Room, where I was watching a lot of Hostel. We watched a lot of porn, kind of weird shit, but also a lot of psychological, a lot of psychological thrillers too. Like if we go to even the Babadook and stuff like that, we more psychological. And when I started thinking of the actual album, it's Halloween itself. To me, I've always looked at the actual principle of it to where yes, it's kind of more for thrill seekers, but it's a very very misunderstood actual holiday, and depends on what religious spectrum you're on most folks that probably early 90s, I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of folks wouldn't go trick-or-treating. They would get yelled at because essentially it was associated for like bad vibes and like essentially seeing like a blood red moon, people crazy people out and stuff like that. And for the longest time, Halloween to me always felt like that abandoned holiday because it just became more taboo because it took on the wrong like symbols. So for Halloween itself, for that project, is I just literally purged everything I wanted to ever put on the record and just see how it went and just emotionally purge, but also like do some psychological stuff, like know where to hide. Essentially, like is breaking the fourth wall of kind of like you were having like I don't know that I think it's like Sunny in Philadelphia where the guy's kind of like spread out with the whole thing. It was kind of like that panic moment. Like there's just so much personality wanted in that record to where it's kind of like sadness, some girl cheating on you, so like you buried her down and put her lover and stucco in the wall, like stuff like that. Like there's so much like emotional stuff I want to do with it, but I also think, okay, so what would sell well? Halloween. Do it like an album cover with intestines and go kind of like if you're doing like what's that? Not corpse. What's that one band that just literally has corpse in it, but it's like all the logos are like intestines. Cannibal Corpse. Thank you. I go on a million places, but not the place I wanted to go. So as far as like Cannibal Corpse stuff like that, like I like the logo as far as that, and I feel like it would really like accomplish the feeling of make it more of a rock type thing. And there was actually a label I was with called Brutal Business. And when I was with them, we did actually a couple songs, and one of the songs on the old project was mostly just hip hop. And this is where it gets kind of fun because that song got remixed into a rock version. And if we're going to be technical, that rock version was the first step to where I'm at now because we gutted the whole production, took the 808s, tossed it, and literally just did like live drums. And that's where that project means a lot to me because there was so much cool stuff with it. One, there was a lot of personality changes. It led into a new single called The System, which essentially was mostly just all rock. That was my first kind of like step into like literally just getting production, building a rock beat, and just going. And
is that the retro injection?
Retro Injection was actually a different project too.
Retro Injection, The System.
Yeah, Retro Injection was actually it was my give back to the late great DJ Screw as far as like Chopped and Screwed. Like that was my give back. Yeah, because like I said, the inspiration goes very deep. So it's kind of like Chop the Screw Records, essentially or Screw House Click. As far as the actual production for it, that got me through a lot of stuff through high school. And I was like, I need to find a way to also give back to those who gave to me. So then I created a chopped and screwed version of the whole project. I grabbed like 3 tracks that were kind of like not with Sweet Relief. But I don't know if I can pull it down real quick. This is literally where this artwork came from. Give me 1 sec.
I'm pulling off the wall. You about to pull it off the wall.
I actually had this commissioned because I was really interested into it and I was really wanting it. So I literally had this custom painting done specifically so I can remember it. It did like a neon colored injection to go into like the actual neck. But yeah, I commissioned this guy like within like 2 years after his release. I'm like, I need to get a project to symbolize this, not to be vain, but also because it's kind of one of those things to where I really enjoyed the project because it was something that I enjoyed doing. And then when I released it, even though most of the fans that when they heard it, like, this is not what I was expecting. It's one of those to where I gave back to like all the friends that showed me that type of music. I sent it over and say, hey, so check this out. And every single one actually enjoyed it because it was my interpretation of it. And that's kind of where like my inspiration goes as far as that. So yeah, as far as we relate, there's just so much fun with it because I had so much cool stuff that I actually did with it. But also it made me. Even though I'm not longer a horrorcore artist per se in a niche, I'll never like abandon the writing structure and the stylistics that built me. Like if I didn't have horrorcore, I wouldn't be able to actually do as much double timing as I do, as much in-depth wordplay and double entendres. Like horrorcore, most folks don't really understand. Like, yes, you can rap about slashing, but you have to find a way to do like 4 different meanings to make it really, really do a good punchline. So it gets kind of critical when you really start thinking about how to like pen your game differently to make it at face value hit, but also make them think, actually, that's a pretty cool double meaning. Like it's one of those things. So yeah, as far as Sweet Relief, I always have a soft spot in my heart for that project. Specifically, why I always carry hard copies still. Like I know most folks like, oh, you still have horrorcore albums? Like, yeah, it's my debut fucking. Like it was one of those things to where even though I don't do it anymore, it's still a good seller, and it's Halloween time. Everyone likes Halloween projects.
Everyone.
Exactly.
But tell us about, and excuse me if I say this wrong. Tell us about that name.
CIGALIA.
That's it, right? That's it, right?
Yeah, I always get like it's always funny because the first person I told him, he's like, like Steven Seagal? I'm like, no, Seagal. And
I mean, when I was trying to say the name, I thought it was a porn title. I was like, I'm
yeah,
like, dude,
well,
where are we going with this?
don't
Hold
get
on.
don't get me started. Now, like, I make a, like a side porn. I had a slasher cipher. I was Don Flicks. I'm like, I might
I,
just
t-
do that as a, like a
I told you all the
horror slash
OnlyFans is coming.
OnlyFans exclusive.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the actual like song or slash like its title itself, so believe it or not, I actually tried to make that a short film series, and then it goes back to the very beginning of the conversation of understanding like the failures and accepting them. I tried to do something way too big, way too fast. I want to
What?
build a right. Go figure. It's one of those things to where it's kind of my Achilles heel, where I do a lot of cool shit that like, okay, you didn't even fucking think of that. But also, it's where it will fall apart because I kind of like throw things at the wall, and a lot of folks tell me that's a really cool thing. But also, that's also the reason why things usually bounce back twice as bad because when you throw it hard to the wall, it will bounce back at you. So I literally was just thinking about doing a short film series to build off each song, and each song had its own episode. Like for the first one we did was called The Meeting. I basically took that off of Air, where essentially I met this one guy. He was coming to the table. I was dealing my tarot cards, essentially trying to get esoteric, or so I would call it, but essentially going through the whole motions of keeping him there and building a cult, if you would have. I'll phrase it, so I'm going to just say it that. And going through, and it was going very well. Then COVID happened, and then we had initially after that, I started getting all the props together. I'm like, okay, this kind of sucks. And then we had the SAG AFTRA, like the whole people just going through a whole strike thing. I'm like, okay, this kind of sucks. I just released a brand new episode, just dropped it, and now I can't do anything with it because we should have shot 4 episodes, but it started from a nonprofit. So I was trying to get as much people as I can and say, hey, just flat out, this is a nonprofit so far. When it gets to the end, we're going to try to get more backing for it, but literally this is just to build the building blocks of the character and per song, and essentially just build rapport. And surely enough, I didn't realize how crazy it is to build a film series, and I regret it now as far as like trying to go too fast. But as far as CIGALIA, like that's where it started. It was supposed to be the children of CIGALIA, where like the CIGALIA is kind of like this ancient time period and location to where very few reach it. Kind of think of like a modern Atlantis, if you would. And
Sure.
it's one of those places, or El Dorado. And it's that one land where everyone tries to go to, the city of gold. But that's kind of where I wanted the end game to be for the character, because he wants to get back to where he got these powers from, where he got this knowledge, and then give back. And then when he gets to Segalia, give all the information he's learned throughout his time and living, give to them and stuff of that nature. But as far as Segalia, it goes back to like the Lyrizone thing. I was writing down 15 before we had ChatGPT and all these AI stuff. I was just writing stuff like, okay, that sounds pretty good and rolling tongue. No, it's kind of fucking boring. Next, and I was like, no, this is kind of trash. Next, and then after I'm going with like 100 fucking names, I'm like, oh, okay, tongue rolls pretty well. It gives a kind of like more like exotic feel. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So I started doing it, and then I had the logo commission for it. Now it's kind of like the make or break it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on like the font or whatever and just get some like text logos and see how it looks visually. And I was like, yeah, that's the one. And then it started clicking. So it goes back to kind of like for Segalia, most of it is just trial and error, see what I like. But also it goes back to when I also looked up online, everything. I try to also research and see if it's been put out yet, because the worst thing you could do is put out a project and realize someone else has beat you to it and they released it for you and they're getting all the traction. It's kind of one of the reasons why, like when I like say listen to Lyrizone, or I just tell Alexa that cancel Alexa. The Alexa device right beside me. I totally forgot about that. Anyway, so that's why I try to say Lyrizone. Like it will say Lizzo. I'm like, fuck. That's when you say Lyrizo. Like that's the first thing.
Lizzo.
I'm like Lizzo.
He's
Well,
cursed by Lizzo.
yeah, I'd say it's better than fucking like Sexy Fred Fat Juicy and Wet. What? Hold up.
That's a
yeah.
t-shirt coming.
Oh man, OnlyFans exclusive. I gotta say it again. It's like the bracers tag, but essentially, as far as the actual Segalia thing, like that just became like more of a domino of where it just made more sense, and the more things started lining down, like okay, I gotta be a sucker not to understand that. Okay, it hasn't been taken yet. It sounds good. Thematically, it would make more sense, and the logos look good. So let's just roll with it. And at that point, I believe in the signs and just roll. But as far as Segalia, that was kind of like just in the moment. The same as Lyrizone.
It sounds like I mean, the way you explained it sounds like you wrote a whole script for a movie, possibly
Oh,
even a
dude.
video game.
Many treatments and scripts have been sitting in this Dropbox file for a very long time.
Is that something you see yourself get more involved with? Is
I
film,
would
maybe
love
video
to.
game scripting,
I would love to do scripting.
scoring music, acting, maybe?
Acting was actually something I'm still doing. I'm actually building essentially just like a backstage where essentially you have like acting reels. I'm actually building that myself specifically for more like antagonist characters, kind of like more of like the sideline character, but also what I'm kind of looking for is dynamic with it. Because even with acting itself, like I've had ones where essentially just background characters for cafes and coffee shops, to where I literally had like ones where it was just vocal actings for creatures. It's a whole different experience. But as far as like just getting different things in my belt, the way I look at it is that everything comes together eventually. And with the
Right,
acting itself, that gives me better performance and more like confidence if when you're performing live.
right.
Because if you're already under a microscope of every single detail you move you make, it's gonna mean something. Like then you learn choreography, and then by choreography, then you learn to perform better. It all loops together. So I hate to say it's a man of many hats type thing, but
Right.
I always want to be just the artist, but also be knowledgeable that there's so much more inspiration, different things that could still help that one thing, and not just be so isolated of just, well, I just want to write. That's it. If that's what I want to do, cool. But also understand like I could have other things and other facets that come together and make it more well rounded.
Sure, absolutely. Very well said. So, to kind of clear the air here, you
What's that?
mentioned a company earlier. Are you currently signed to a record company? Are you
No.
100% independent?
100% independent and free agent.
Free
So
agent.
yeah, as far as like there was like many different projects. We had like Project Leviathan, then we had, like I said, Brutal Business, then I had Prior Entertainment Records. Like we had, I had like many different groups I've been a part of throughout the years. But then I started realizing that I just like doing my own work. I like not answering someone's like their women their call. Of course, when it comes to making the dream work, you need to have a team. Like that has to
Right.
happen. But what it comes down to it is that I've had the experience of the label experience per se, and I honestly don't like it. I don't like the fact that one, you gotta worry about your cutting your costs. Obviously, with business, there has to be some way the money gets pushed. But in this day and age, it's not early 2000s. You don't have to worry about like slinging mixtapes at your at your back of your car. You don't have to worry about giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to this company and having them send your CDs places. You still can, but this is digital age to where the entrepreneur and the everyday man is king. Where
Yeah.
essentially you will find a way to get your music somewhere. All you gotta do literally is make a TikTok down, just do a video promoting your song, walk in with some friends, doing something improv. Like the power is to the independent right now. And that's why I tell people 24/7, that is where I want to be. I don't want to have to deal with all this background stuff. I don't want to deal with like restrictions creativity wise. Just to sell an album goes back to like your top 5 questions, like as far as like selling the image. I don't want to have to like compromise what my dream is just to make it somewhat a check. Like I don't keep your stock workers happy. That's why I work a fucking 9 to 5. I worked at 9 to 5 to get the stock holders happy there. Let me have the rest for myself, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. With what you just said there, looking in beyond into the future, where is Lyrizone headed next?
Oh, dude. Even I don't fucking know. I couldn't tell you. And that's all the fun about it.
That's where you're gonna leave me?
Sorry and shit.
That was the first question you just didn't go off on. I'm like, wait, so you're just gonna keep us in the dark?
No, no old words of strange music. Sorry and shit. Where bullshit ain't nothing. Sorry.
Oh,
I like I said, I sometimes have information, sometimes I don't. Depends on the time.
well, then, with that being said, you better take the time right now to subscribe to Lyrizone. Make sure you're following because he's gonna drop something, and we're not gonna know about it until you're following and get yourself involved. So get involved right now and click those little buttons because that's all we have. Just
Yes,
some buttons for
sir.
y'all to click and subscribe. So do it. Don't be a
Yeah,
bitch.
fucking do it.
So what's your message to the youngins, the misfits, the kids that see the world differently and don't fit into the world?
First thing, fuck public opinion. Do what makes you happy. If they don't like you, fuck them. They're not worth it. But
That's right. Opinions are
also,
like butt.
everybody has one, and some people are dirty, some people are clean. But yeah, just imagine everybody being dingleberry. She'll be fine. Anyway, so yes, as far as I guess my answer to that to be more eloquated is that it goes back to the very beginning. Understand you're gonna fucking fail. It doesn't matter if. It's gonna be when, and it doesn't really matter like in what circumstance. You could be a meat cutter like me, you could be a musician, you could be a plumber, a welder, Anybody working on lights, backstage, sound check, whatever, you're going to fail. There's got to be a moment to where the cables don't connect. You pull the microphone stand out. You accidentally fall into the crowd face first, miss the crowd, hit the concrete.
Has that happened?
Yes, that's why I raise my hand, and that's why I don't drink anymore on stage. I just make sure I'm staying sober. Like if they offer drinks, I'm like, okay, cool.
I saw the flashback going on in your brain right there while you were saying
that was that. Yeah, I could still I could still taste the pavement. So yeah, it's one of those things to understand you're gonna fail, but also know that failure it's double full, because essentially it does feel like it sucks. But like I will give you a perfect example where the Music Farm in South Carolina is my first actual like bombed show, because I was so worried about another like 2 shows down the way that I wasn't really focused on time at hand. And then during that time, when I didn't focus on that show and I did perform bad, wasn't well practiced, didn't focus on anything. I was too focused on what someone else thought, what the outside perspective was of what I was doing. And then when that next show came, I was worried about the last show, instead of actually just understanding that if you fail, things are gonna fucking happen. And that's why when you'll see a lot of like bands, like a lot of them they'll have their drumsticks break on set, so they had to like find a way to improv. It's all about rolling with the punches and understanding that that the failure moment is gonna suck, but it's temporary. But how you recover from it is going to be permanent, because you can set up good natural habits to understand, hey, yeah, this kind of sucked, but you know what? I had a really good moment about that other part toward the end of the set. Like, it's all about what you take from it and what you build on to the next step. So for the younger generations, they're just learning it, either my age group or younger than me, and they're trying to be a musician, just understand the fail's going to happen, but you're going to fucking succeed. Just keep going.
Absolutely. Very well said. Thank you for that.
Absolutely, brother.
Tell me, if everything was stripped away today, no beats, no merch, no mask, what do you hope your legacy is?
Understanding myself and understanding that even though I had a fucked up perspective of what I came into music with and how I approached it, that in the end, that there's always someone has it worse. So understanding that if everything gets stripped away, that all I have is a good personality to be the best person I can. And also to those that like are essentially doing just as bad, find a way to make them feel better. Because I don't know, I think in the grand scale of things, we all are essentially made to coexist. So when we find a way to just like treat each other like dog shit, we're never gonna fulfill our real nature if we just can't understand that we're meant to actually be decent to each other. Like, we might have bad fucking days, but if I was just stripped of music, mask, everything Lyrizone, what I get back is just, I don't know, just be a fucking good person. That's all I gotta say.
Just be a good person.
Don't be a fucking dick. That's all I gotta say.
That would be a good shirt too, right there in the front. Be a good person, and on the back, don't be a...
don't be a dick. Back shirt, don't be an asshole. Just kidding, don't be an asshole.
Take that idea for someone else does. Copywritten.
How about that? We'll put together. I'll copyright it with you. How about that? We'll make sure you get real.
Oh, Underground Nation Podcast and Lyrizone collaboration t-shirt. Don't be a dick or an asshole. Bitch.
It's like old Ass McGee, Adult Swim cartoon animation. Oh my god.
Incredible. You got a mic and the world's listening. Lyrizone, what's one thing you want everyone to remember from this episode?
That I didn't give you shit about the next project. Just kidding.
You're just gonna rub me in it. It's like when a dog takes a shit, and he's gonna take his face and just rub it in there. And I still don't learn a damn thing from it.
Just dance on it.
Just looking at you weird, like, why did you just do that? I'm still gonna shit again.
I guess what to pull away from this episode in a like serious tone is just appreciate those writing for you, as far as your fans, the ones that reach out to you, checking on you, your family that checks on you every weekend to see how you're doing. Just even the people at work that just say during lunch, hey, how you doing? Just, I don't know, just understand that in the end, it goes back to the same one. Not to be all like emotional here, but in a time right now, it's where everyone's like, there's such a social disconnect and everyone is just so angry just to be angry. Understand that when you dial it back, there's a reason to be angry. Also understand that we're all human. There's trial and error. But also, I don't know, as far as music, if I got to apply something to here, is that just understand that what I write and what I do is kind of like hand in hand. So when you'll hear a song that's kind of like a little more fucked up and kind of like, man, he's really fucking sad. Yeah, I pulled it from somewhere. I'm fine, maybe. But it's one of those things to where to get the truest form of what we're at as artists, we have to embrace the darkness as well as the light. We can't at all understand the happiness in life without understanding the trauma that helps us appreciate the good times. And the way I look at it is that that's kind of where I enjoy sometimes. It's probably more of like a guilty pleasure of seeing sad things, watching stuff like that because it gives perspective. And that's kind of like where I stand on that is that I just try to walk the fence of duality and understand what good shit, bad stuff is coming, but also with bad stuff, good things are coming. So I guess that's kind of where my angle is as far as that is just understanding the sense of duality and where things could be kind of like topsy turvy. You know, I'm pretty sure you get it.
I know. I get the topsy turvy. Every day is very topsy turvy around here.
Oh yeah, guaranteed. Only when you're a musician.
Lyrizone, before we end our conversation today, can you leave us with a bar, a lyric, something from the core of Lyrizone?
Okay.
Something exclusive just for the Underground Nation.
She called me a sick fuck, so I hung her up by the torso. Guess the pickup line still work on someone who's fucking normal? Maybe.
It's
Maybe.
not horrorcore anymore, ladies and gentlemen.
No, not at all. That's just a pickup. That's just double entendre pickup line. That's it. And just like that, you're like, and he's gone.
And the interview's over.
Yeah, that's the thing though too is I appreciate your time today. Truly, I'm honored. And it's one of those things to where I'm glad you picked my mind up on this stuff because I haven't been talking about horrorcore in years. Most folks don't ask about that side because it's very niche down, which I love the shit, but that's just me.
I don't care what people say or try to label things as is what it is. I mean, Underground Nation magazine, we started as Horrorcore magazine and evolved into Underground Nation because we had the same thought. There's a lot more artists struggling in the underground instead of just us. You know, Horrorcore is my personal favorite niche of all the niches with these beaches. It just said that because it rhymed. But really,
Bars.
Really, I don't care what people say and how they dumb it down. They try to put this on one side and the other side. I don't care. I'm really writing for you as an artist. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care about all this other bullshit on the back end. That's your own personal bullshit.
Exactly.
I'm just a fat kid in between trying to help you tell your story and get the message out there.
Exactly. And way to really ruffle feathers when you say, hey, so you know that genre you really love? Wait until you find out like it has 15 different genres that you fucking hate inside of it. Ball dropped. Where most folks like, oh no, I don't like jazz. I'm like, okay, well just listen to like the drummers. Like most of like death metal like drummers are usually jazz. It's just like for like really high tempo and bass line. Yeah, so yeah, once you understand that everything comes together in certain ways, the better off you are. And stop hating. Don't be a bitch. Stop hating.
Stop hating. Zone, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an amazing conversation. You definitely opened us into the Lyrizone universe and put us on game for that. I appreciate you so much. The Underground Nation, we respect you. We support you fully, and we will be here riding by your side for whatever is up next in your incredible Lyrizone
Yes, sir.
journey.
Much love, brother.
Remember this, Underground Nation, monsters make music too, and sometimes the loudest scream is the one with the mic in its hand. Everyone follow Lyrizone right the fuck now. Stop what you're doing. Subscribe. I'm Bounce Ball Boogie, and this is Underground Nation Podcast. Until next time, keep your spirit loud, your art honest, and your soul protected. Boogie out. That was fun.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.